Hey there, my name is Brashler, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Sonarworks SoundID Reference, which is a sweet piece of software that you can download and use, and you can even get a microphone sent for custom tuning your monitors that are sitting at your home studio. If you're brand new to my channel, I'm all about helping you feel more confident in your production gear no matter where you're starting from. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, the SoundID reference from Sonarworks is something that I have used a lot in the past, but I asked Sonarworks to send me one so that I can show you guys how to get this set up and how to use it at your home studio or even in your church or venue. So this is from them. Thank you so much for sending it to me, and I want to show you how to get this actually working. So here's the box that they sent me, which is great. You open this thing up, and you get a couple stickers, and inside of it, you have a card with the software license, a little bit of getting started, and then you have a custom-tuned microphone. Now, this microphone has a unique ID number here, and that allows Sonarworks to know if this is flat or not in the software. So this has been custom tuned against a reference microphone. So Sonarworks has this ID number, and they're able to reference it so that you know that the tuning that you get through this program is completely flat. Now, once you get the software downloaded and installed on your computer, then the next thing is to get this microphone plugged into your audio interface and get some audio playing through your speakers. Now, I have my setup here. I have my MacBook Pro sitting right here. I have my reference microphone that they sent me, an XLR cable. I have my audio interface here, which is the Yamaha RUIO16D, which is my audio interface that I use. Now, I have my headphones here. Now, the headphones that I love to use are the Audio-Technica ATH M50Xs. These are great headphones to use. Now, one thing that's great about this SoundID reference is that they have already modeled most of the popular headphones that are out there. So chances are, if you're mixing on some headphones, SoundID reference from Sonarworks already has your style of headphones referenced. So you can just go and simply select your headphones that you're using and automatically pull it up with some tunings that are going to make your headphones fairly flat. Now, in this portion of the video, I'm wanting to focus more on the actual speakers. So I have two small speakers over here sitting on some stands a little closer to the monitors, and I'm going to use this microphone, my audio interface, and SoundID reference measure to go ahead and measure my speakers to make them as flat as they can be possible. So I have plugged in this microphone and set it where my listening position is. And then I have my outputs going off to my speakers. So I went ahead and opened up SoundID reference here on my computer, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a new output. And we're going to select my Yamaha RUIO16D, and then I'm going to select where my speakers are being outputted. So I have 15 and 16 are the outputs. And what I'm going to do is I can play a test tone here.
Left, right.
There you go. So we know that these speakers are working. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up measure right here. So now I have SoundID reference open here, and there's ability for you to select your speaker configuration, which mine is stereo here. So we can see that this is where my listening spot is. So I'm going to go ahead and press next. We have setup checklist. Is phantom power turned on? And yes, phantom power is turned on, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. Your input and output is routed to the same device and uses the same clock source, and yes, that's correct. And my microphone signal cannot be heard through the speakers because we want to make sure that there's no feedback, and I'm going to press yes. I'm going to then press next. We can then go and select my channel where this microphone is being plugged into. So we can see that I actually have a couple different options here. MacBook Pro microphone, but my microphone is plugged into input 15 on this device. So I'm going to go and select 15. It's going to ask you to check the mic. So we can see that there is signal selected there. And then we're going to press next. It's then going to ask us for our ID reference on the microphone. So mine is 37Q512. And then we're going to go ahead and press next. And we can see that this is the individual microphone calibration profile. So we can see that this is what is needed for my microphone on 0, 30, and 90 degree. So we can now press next. And so the very next thing is it's going to ask us to assign the output channels for our setup. My left is on 15 and my right is on 16. And it's going to ask us to do some sweet listening spot adjustments. So it's asking me to go ahead and set my volume of this for this test tone to be at a normal volume. So go ahead and do that. And then the next thing that we need to do is to just say, yes, my volume is confirmed and set. So it's going to ask us to clear out anything that we would bump into our listening area. We're going to go ahead and hold the microphone in our hand or use a stand like I have, if that's more convenient, which it is. Keep the microphone in the center of our listening spot, which it currently is. And then we need to adjust the level of the microphone to where our ears are positioned. And then we're going to point the microphone at the speakers, just like I have here. It's going to ask us to increase the microphone gain here. Once we've adjusted the microphone gain, it's going to say that yes, it's good. Gain adjustment's done. So now we can go ahead and press next. And it's going to ask you if you want to use metric or imperial units, and you can change this later, but I'm going to go ahead and use imperial. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to take this microphone and hold it about an inch away from the mid-range driver on my speakers. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now.
Left speaker done.
Now we're going to go over to the right speaker. So as we can see here, what that did is that estimated a measurement of our two speakers. Now I was doing that in the middle of my speakers and they are laying horizontal. So we'll see if that works here. But we have our left and right, and they are 3 feet 2 inches apart. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to next, and then we're going to place our microphone here in our listening spot, which I have right here. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and press start. Perfect. We're going to go and review the dimensions. We can see that I am 5 feet 11 inches away from both of these speakers. And we can go ahead and press next. It's going to have me move this microphone until it gets to this spot. All right, so that took a little bit of time, but I have some really good measurements here, and the measurements are completed. So what we can now do is we can press next. And so we can see that these are my room measurements. So we have the left line is the lighter line here. And so we can see that I kind of go from, let's see here, that's 100, 90, 80, 60, that's 60 hertz, and it starts falling off about 12K, which is interesting. So we have these two things, and we have a little bit of a level difference in between my left and my right speaker of 0.3 dB, which is very interesting. So what we can do is we can go and save and finish. And we are going to call this 2023 327, and this is the Meyer M1D. And we're going to press save. So measurements are saved, And what we're going to do is we're going to calibrate using the desktop app. Now, there is also a DAW plugin here that we can use to insert on our DAW, which is really helpful, especially if you're a church that's using monitors and you are doing an online stream through Pro Tools or through Reaper or something like that. You can use this and set up either your headphones or your near-field monitors in your mix environment and use this plugin and insert it on your monitor bus. And so now we have our SoundID reference here. So we have my left and my right speakers, and we're going to add output. Oh yeah. And we're going to go ahead and open my existing profile. And we can go and find my 2023 327 Meyer M1D, and we're going to open that. So here is my before. So here is my before. So this is what the speakers were in this room, in this specific configuration with this microphone right here with all of the reflections around in this room and on this microphone. So if this specifically was my mix position right here, this is the EQ that my current speakers are providing in my room. And what I can now do is I can go and look at my simulated after. So we can see that my EQ curve on these speakers is completely flat between 100 hertz and 12 kilohertz. And then there's a little bit of a dip and a low end kind of missing there because these speakers that I have don't produce anything under 100 very well. So I would need to add a subwoofer into this case if I wanted to hear an accurate representation of the low end. Now, one thing to mention about this program here is down here in this bottom corner, there's a little thing that says latency down here. And then we have our filter adjustment. Now, the filter, if we click here, allows us to do multiple different filter types. So we can do zero latency, which is going to be great because it produces the least amount of latency according to our setup, but it does apply a little bit of phase shift, which means that some of the frequencies are going to be out of time with others. So if you're mixing in a post environment, switching this to linear phase is going to be the best thing for you because this orange line right here shows us our phase adjustment, which really isn't too bad in consideration of these speakers. But if I go to linear phase, we can now see that this orange line is completely flat going across the way. It did, however, in my case, add about 40 milliseconds of delay. Now, in a post environment, that's not going to matter much. More in a live environment, it's going to matter a little bit more. So trying to get this latency down closer to the lowest that you can is going to be best. But chances are, if you are mixing in a post environment sense for mixing out of a DAW live, you might be able to still be ahead of your video embed that you're going to be using. So mixed offers the best latency and the best phase response as far as our speakers can go. So this one is about halfway in between the zero latency and the linear phase. Okay, so one thing that's really cool about this program is we can do what's called a translation check. So you can go click down here, and there's a whole bunch of different options that we have in this spot. So we can go and listen to what a car is going to sound like in 3 different type of things. We have our Apple AirPods, which I can go ahead and turn this up and listen to this. And that does sound like Apple AirPods. We also have the MacBook Professional 10. Which does sound like a MacBook Pro. There's also TVs. You can do a TV average. There's studio speakers. There's NS11s in here, so you can go ahead and listen to what your speakers would sound like modeled after some of these different things. The very last thing that we can do is down here, we can turn our calibration off and on again. And unfortunately, you're not sitting here in my room, but I can tell you that there is a very large difference between these two things. Now, another option that we can do is use some modeling of my headphones. So I do have my headphones here, the Audio-Technica ATH M50Xs, and if I put these on, what I can do is I can go and add a new preset. So I can go and select my calibration file, and this is going to be a new headphone profile. So I'm going to go and find my headphones here. So I can go find my Audio-Technica, Audio-Technica, and then I have my ATH M50Xs here. So I can go ahead and select that, and these are going to be wired, and I'm going to press yes, continue. So here is what the global estimate of a lot of these headphones that have all been measured by Soundworks yields. So we can see that there is a fine line in the middle of this, and then we can see that some variation is happening because this is not a perfect model of these headphones. So we can go and then see what it looks like after. So here is the simulated after. Right here. So we can see that this goes all the way down to 30 hertz and completely flat all the way to the top. And again, with the phase, we can also go and change our latency to be 0 latency or linear phase. So I have now pulled up Reaper on my computer here. So if I was wanting to use the plugin that SoundID has, we can just go and click on the effects section, and we can go and select my SoundID Reference plugin VST. And so I'm going to go ahead and add this. So we have my plugin here, and I'm just going to select and open my profile of my speakers. So here is my speakers, and so I'm going to just open that. And so we can see here. And then if we want to, we can go ahead and add a new preset and pull up my headphones. So we're going to go add headphones, and we can go find my Audio-Technica and the ATH M50Xs, and we can select the profile. So we can go and switch between these just simply doing that. And so we can go and see that calibration is enabled. Latency is at 0 milliseconds, and we can go linear phase, which adds 45 milliseconds, or we can do mixed, which adds 17. On the headphones, it's going to be similar. So we can go linear phase, and that's 45 milliseconds again, or if mixed is going to be 17. And so again, if we're doing this post-mixing, that latency isn't going to matter unless you're trying to record directly to that beat. So if you need to be time sensitive as far as getting all the way down to 0 milliseconds, then you'll want to use the 0 latency, which is going just to sacrifice the audio quality slightly, but have good latency. So I'm going to set mine to be linear phase, and once I X out of this, so now I am all set up. So now I can just add in my tracks and go and mix. And all of my SoundID reference on here is going to be adjusted and correctly translated into these speakers to make them as flat as possible. So that brings me to the conclusion of this video. I hope it was helpful for you. I want to thank Sonarworks for sending me this so I can show you guys how to get this set up and working in either your computer just for listening to music or in your DAW for actually doing some critical measurements as far as listening goes to your mix. I have a link right here for you if you want to check out more about the SoundID reference. And if you happen to have any questions, feel free to post in the comment section below. Also, if there's a video that you're helping that I will make for you in the future, please put that in the comment section below, as I'm always looking through those comments for videos that are going to be helpful for you. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.